And welcome to Fourth and Pain, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. On the other end of the line, Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker.
Ah!
And I am former wrestling announcer turned weight loss champion Chuck Carroll. This, of course, Fourth and Pain, and a celebratory episode at that. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Fourth and Pain and join us each and every Sunday morning, 1067 The Fan, 8 o'clock. Adam Carriker driving home from FedEx Field, a 28-18 victory over the Dallas Cowboys. NFC East champions for the first time since 1999 and playoff bound for the first time under Mike Shanahan. You tell me, how are you feeling?
Dude, I'm finally off crutches, so I finally went to a game, which is why we're doing the show this way. It was so late. We got to get it done tonight. The wife and I are driving home. We're pumped. Apologize for no video, but we're so excited. We just beat the biggest rival. We just beat Dallas. We just won the NFC East for the first time in like 13 years. We're going to the playoffs. We get to host the game. We're driving home, and this car's going crazy. My kid's asleep in the back. The baby's crying, although she finally stopped, thank God. So we're pretty pumped.
I mean, this was just an unbelievable effort. Came down to the waning moments, 28-18. But here's the thing, and we've talked about this guy on the show before we even talk about the accolades of Alfred Morris. Let's talk about Rob Jackson, that game-sealing interception late in the fourth quarter, Tony Romo's third of the night. This is a guy comes in, spells Brian Arakpo. He's been playing lights out all season, saves his biggest interception for the biggest moment of the entire season. What do you think about Rob Jackson?
Hey, it's like the fourth or fifth game in a row where he's either had a huge sack at the end of the game or he's had a big interception. From the first time I got here, I noticed this guy on the practice field, and he just was full of energy. And I think I said this before on the show. There was a particular training camp practice a couple years ago where he had like double-digit sacks. Now, we're not allowed to touch quarterbacks, but he would have got double-digit sacks in the practice. And he's finally getting a chance to show what he can do. And it's just, we still got this year. We're going to the Super Bowl. But next year, when everyone's back, just imagine the rotation of Kerrigan, Arakpo, and Jackson at that outside linebacker spot. It's going to be ridiculous.
Absolutely rolling deep. And as long as we're talking about linebackers, let's talk about London Fletcher, the veteran warrior, continuing to get it done. This is a guy, 11 total tackles on the night, plus a pair of sacks and a pass defense. Ageless wonder. You talk about a game where rookies are all the rage, yet here's London Fletcher in his 18 millionth NFL season, still getting it done in a big way.
Honestly, I've heard people criticize London lately. Oh, he's not been doing this. He's not been doing that. All I know is the guy has started his 18th million game in a row in his 18th million season. He continues to make big plays in the biggest of games on the biggest of stages. He's the heart and soul of the defense. He's the leader of the team. I don't know what more you can ask for.
Absolutely. Other defensive leaders, as long as we're going down the list, Josh Wilson, that big interception in the first quarter, actually the second on Tony Romo. Richard Crawford gets the first. A bunch of guys coming up big. Of course, last week's Fourth and Pain champion, Ryan Kerrigan, also getting it done. 6 tackles on the night in the backfield, causing disruption throughout the evening. Madu Williams, 9 total tackles on the evening, led the team there. But then you look at the offensive side, and Adam, here's the most staggering thing to me. Here's something that stood out more than anything. For the first time this season, Robert Griffin III, the quarterback, who could be the NFL MVP this season, certainly a candidate for Rookie of the Year, but for the first time this season, he gets overshadowed offensively by another player. We're talking about Alfred Morris, 3-time Fourth and Pain champion, I'm proud to say, carries the ball 33 times last night, finds the end zone thrice, and rushes for 200 yards, sets the Redskins' franchise record, rookie or not, for single-season rushing yardage. Amazing, amazing, amazing effort. What did you see out of Alf last night?
Well, first of all, these people need to get out of our way. These people walking out of this, we're going to run your butts over. Quit banging on my car. We will run you over. Second of all, Alfred Morris, great season. I was going to say maybe he was a second-string fullback. I knew he was a fourth-string running back coming into the season. I mean, the guy is just, he should have been a first-round pick. He played with, from what I understand, a quarterback in college that wasn't that great, so teams would focus on him, and he still owns the FAU all-time rushing record. So the guy's just really shown what he can do. He's like a human battering ram out there.
You know, and I got an opportunity to speak with him in the locker room just a few minutes ago, and I said, Alfred, man, you are definitely a candidate to finish up the regular season strong with the belt for the fourth time. And you know what? He stopped dead in his tracks. Everybody's surrounding him, and he just does kind of like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. He clenches his fist, and he pops it down, and he says, yes. He's so excited about this belt. But you know what, Adam? We got to put this out to a vote. As we like to do, this is a democracy. I say we put it up on Twitter. We put it to the fans at Fourth and Pain. Who should be the final regular season champion week 17? Alfred Morris? And who? Who else is out there? We talk about Josh Wilson. We talk about Richard Crawford. We talk, obviously, about London Fletcher. We talk about a whole bunch of guys are worthy. Who else? Who should we pair against Alfred Morris for this week's championship vote?
Well, let me drop another name out there. And I don't know that he's going to have great stats because he didn't get a pick. He probably had a few pass breakups. But he was matched up one-on-one all night with Dez Bryant, who in the past 6 games has over 70 receptions, 700 and some receiving yards, and just an insane amount of big plays that led to touchdowns. And he basically, I mean, I know he had a couple catches, but D'Angelo Hall basically shut him down. And at the end of the game, Dez Bryant could barely even get off the field under his own power. I mean, D'Angelo was just physical with him all night. He was a shutdown corner on one of the brightest, best young receivers in the entire NFL. So I want to throw his name out there. I think you and I talked. It's going to be between London and Alfred. And I have a feeling Alfred's he's going to take his 4th championship this week, and he's going to be the leader, jumping ahead of Kerrigan. But I think someone else you could be thrown out there is D. Hall.
Well, you know, I'm looking at his stat line, Adam, and this guy knocked away 3 passes intended for one Dez Bryant. So he's certainly somebody out there. We can throw that up on Twitter. You know, we can say it's between Fletcher, Morris, and Hall. We haven't officially put anything out there until the show launches. We can make it a 3-way race if you want.
Hey, I mean, honestly, I think Alfred's going to win it. I don't think it really matters. I just wanted to make sure because his name hadn't been brought up yet. I mean, I know he was a little sore today. I saw him walking around the facility. Well, Montgomery's a little bit sore. I mean, these guys are sore, but they got huge smiles on their faces. So I just want to make sure these guys also get mentioned as well. I mean, also, you could just mention the whole entire offensive line. Columbus, you know, I haven't seen him around, but I know he has a concussion. He came out and started, and he played. The whole offensive line played well. I mean, Alfred Morris doesn't rush the ball like that without being Alfred Morris and without also some help from that offensive line, which is basically shut everybody up who was talking bad about him before the season by playing well this whole entire year.
It's unbelievable. You know, you look back to training camp when Jamal Brown goes down with that hip injury again. He gets placed on the PUP list, and everybody's thinking, oh, my God, doom and gloom, this offensive line. We're not going to be able to produce anything. Robert Griffin III, he's not going to have time back there. He's going to get sacked umpteen million times. There's going to be no ground support. They're not going to be able to find any holes because the offensive line just isn't up to par. Well, this offensive line, for 15 out of the 16 regular season games, has been the same crew. And that's unheard of here in Washington. We haven't had that sense of consistency since way back when Joe Bugle was leading the Hogs. It's been a long, long time since we've seen anything gel quite like we saw with the offensive line this season. Absolutely unsung heroes. And let's talk about this last thing about the game against the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody talks about how penalized the Redskins were coming into this game. 2 penalties last night, Adam. 2 penalties for 20 yards, 15 of which came courtesy of Sav Rocca, that big face mask on Dwayne Harris, that touchdown-saving face mask on Dwayne Harris late in the game. 15 of the 20 come on 1 single penalty, only 2 all night. That is well-disciplined football, my friend.
Well, that comes back to, you know, my keys of the game where I said we had to cut down on the penalties, which we did. We had to maintain what we've been doing with the turnovers, which is not turning the ball over, and we did not turn the ball over. And it also came down to stopping the run and getting pressure on Tony Romo. All 4 my keys to the game, offensively and defensively, that's exactly what they did. They forced Romo into those bad, I mean, you know, just kind of Romo-type plays that he tends to do, the bad decisions, the interceptions. So, I mean, the whole team played well. The team looked great, and I think people are already kind of underestimating us, overlooking us because of the Seahawks, what they've been doing. What people forget, Seahawks got to travel all the way across the country. That's a 5 to 6 hour flight. That's 3 time zone difference. They're not even going to know when to go to bed. I mean, they're going to be so out of whack. They're going to be so tired. I mean, FedEx is going to be rocking. They're not the same team away from home. I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, well, you know.
No.
Well, you bring up the Seattle
crazy people. This traffic is crazy right now. But we're just gonna be a bulldozer right now. So
you know, here's the thing about Seattle. They come into this game, Adam, winners of 5 straight. Washington, of course, having won 7 straight to reach the playoffs. The most remarkable turnaround that personally I've ever witnessed. This even surpasses the year that Sean Taylor passed, just in terms of what they were able to accomplish this year under Mike Shanahan. Here's the thing, though. Seattle undefeated at home, the 11th man or the 12th man so talked about in Seattle. But on the road, this is a losing football team, 3-5 on the road. And yet, when the NFL odds opened, Seattle is a 2.5-point favorite to win this game. Tell me, how is that possible?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. They see 58 points. They see 50 points. They see what they did to the 49ers. You know, we're probably the 2 hottest teams in the entire NFL, and we're going to meet. Then they just see these big oogles of points that Seattle's been throwing out there, and everyone just jumps on that bandwagon. But here's what you need to know. I played in St. Louis. I went to Seattle every year when I was there playing for the Rams. That is one of the loudest, most ruckus stadiums in the NFL. In fact, I would only second it to FedEx Field when FedEx Field is rocking. So that's a huge home field advantage that all of a sudden is going to be in our favor, not in their favor. And here's a little fun fact for you. Not so much fun, though, because, well, they've actually eliminated us from the playoffs the past 2 times we've been in, but it's been in Seattle. This year is going to be different because it is in D.C. So it's time for us to get a little bit of revenge. Ergo, the fun fact part for us.
Absolutely. You know what? This is a different franchise. Nobody wants to travel all the way out west, and I think that it's interesting to me that as often as the Redskins seem to play the St. Louis Rams during the regular season, even though they're not in the same division, it just seems to happen. Well, on those occasions when Washington does make the postseason, it always inevitably the road has gone through Seattle and without much success. And so this year Seattle travels east. I find it hard to believe, with Washington having won 7 straight, with Alfred Morris going for 200 yards against the Dallas Cowboys, with Robert Griffin III earning a trip to the Pro Bowl in his rookie season, and, oh, by the way, captivating the entire fan base of the NFL. You know, he set the single season record for jersey sales this year, Adam. Has nothing to do with what's going to happen next week against the Seattle Seahawks, but it just goes to show you what an electrifying player this is, what a potent offense the Washington Redskins have. And so I'm baffled, absolutely baffled, even though I'm trying to be impartial. I'm absolutely freaking baffled that Seattle is favored in this game. Frankly, I think Washington is going to come away with a victory. Hopefully we'll make our picks later on this week with Goldberg. I'll go on the record with it at that time.
Well, I'm telling you, it makes a difference between a 1-hour flight to go to a game and 6 hours, which is about what that flight is going to be. And it's seriously, they're used to going to bed at like 9, 10 o'clock. It's 3 hours different out here. It seriously messes with your system, and then you have to get up and go play a game the next day. Another thing to think about, we haven't had the normal RG3 for 3 weeks now. Yet we've come away with 3 victories. Kirk Cousins, RG3 last week, and an improved one this week. You could see he was getting better. You know, he wasn't his 4-3 self, but maybe he was 4-5. Which is still ridiculous, by the way. So maybe next week he'll be back to like 4-4, even 4-3, and that's got to be scary for those Seahawks who haven't faced anybody like this. Real quick, yep. The wife's driving, but she wants to do a real quick, speaking of RG3, impromptu Peyton Pulse. Here she is.
Okay, okay.
RG3. MVP.
And we have a cheerleader. I absolutely love it. Angie Carriker with the abbreviated Peyton Pulse. And you know what, Adam? We're talking about Robert's knee right there. Robert, who could be the MVP of the NFL this year. Mike Shanahan comes out after the game, and he admits that his knee's still not 100%. Matter of fact, not anywhere near 100%. You give this cat another week to heal, and the fact that he demonstrated that he's so cool under pressure, again, as I will pick later on this week when we have Goldberg on, we make our official picks, I will say the Washington Redskins poised to advance to the second round of the playoffs. Take it to the bank.
Well, you could even tell, I mean, when we played the Eagles, you could just tell, just watching, he didn't feel comfortable running. And you could see this week the Cowboys didn't respect that zone read option, and he burned them a couple of times. The Seahawks are going to come in and have to respect that, which makes their game plan so much more vanilla, so much more complicated, and it makes it so much more hard for them because now they have to respect everything. Whereas before, teams didn't think they had to do that, and that's where that dynamic that puts RG3 ahead of every other quarterback in the league because he can run and throw so well. That gives us that huge advantage that we've really been missing, even though we overcame it the past few weeks.
And last point, because we are running out of time, you know, you talk about him not being comfortable running in the game. Well, he carries the ball 6 times. He flushes himself out of the pocket 6 times, averages 10.5 yards per carry, and he finds the end zone. And this is at 75-80% with that knee. Again, you give him another week, only good things can happen for the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean, he still ran, probably would have ran like a 4.5. But how sick is that? You know, we're just used to the 4.3, and hopefully that's what we're going to see on Sunday. Definitely a 4.4 type guy. I mean, the guy just has ridiculous speed. I know we're running out of time, so real quickly, vote for the Skins Belt winner this week. It will be released on Wednesday. Also, I tweeted out #AskAdam this morning. Ask me any questions you want, football or wrestling related. And then on Thursday, as Chuck's been talking about, we'll have our picks with Goldberg, Angie, myself, and Chuck. And also, we're going to start including the fans this week. We're going to include the fans. You guys can compete against us. We'll get into that on Thursday. Be sure and check that out.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. But for now, we are fresh out of time. I'm Chuck Carroll. Thank you so very much for believing in our weirdness.
Adam Carriker, NFC East champions, largest arms on the D-line. Peace out, Fourth and Painters.